George Washington may never have slept in the Berkshires, but a whole host of other presidents have stopped by for a visit. In honor of President's Day, historian Eugene Michalenko and folklorist Joe Durwin recount stories and tales of the many presidential sojourns the Berkshires have hosted through the years.
Washington may never have slept here, but a number of the nation's later chief executives have stopped by for a spell over the last couple of centuries. One nearly died here, another died en route. One was fined for overfishing one of the region's beloved trout brooks. Another was stranded at one of its premier postcard locales. President McKinley made a very lasting impression on the town of Adams, Massachusetts. McKinley was a friend of the Plunketts.
The Plunkett brothers started the Berkshire Cotton Manufacturing Company. They built 4 mills. There was a huge expansion in Adams. The population grew something like 35%. William McKinley's career sort of parallels that whole development. Here was a picture of his economic theory, his economic policies in works. He raised taxes against foreign goods, particularly English cotton, so that American cotton industry could flourish. His first visit as president, he spent 4 days here. The local library trustees and the Grand Army of the Republic representatives asked him if he would lay the cornerstone to the library. The library here is a memorial to the Civil War veterans, and Mr. McKinley was a Civil War veteran, so he gladly acquiesced to lay the cornerstone of the library. When he came to laying the cornerstone, there was a special chair set up for him with a plaque on it. We still have that chair in our collection. And he looked at the chair and he decided not to sit in it. Instead, he sat in one that was less grandiose to show that he was sort of a man of the people, that he too was a populist.
McKinley stayed at the Red Lion Inn in Stockbridge, along with both of the Roosevelts, Grover Cleveland, and Calvin Coolidge. Coolidge was briefly stranded on the inn's porch in 1915 when he was campaigning for lieutenant governor, and his party left without him before the owner of the inn, Congressman Treadway, returned and found him waiting on the porch smoking a cigar. Coolidge was often referred to as Silent Cal, and when they came back for him, he just kind of simply said, "I thought you would come back for me." 2 different presidents received degrees from Williams College in Williamstown. James Garfield attended there in the 1850s and later was a school teacher in nearby Pownell, Vermont. Garfield was actually assassinated on the day he was to leave Washington for his college reunion in Williamstown, and he died approximately 3 months later. President Grover Cleveland was very partial to fishing in Hop Brook in Tyringham, and he was once fined $2 for going over the legal limit. Cleveland's Secretary of the Navy, William Whitney, was local, and he owned much of what is now October Mountain State Forest. I think the most legendary visit to the Berkshires was that of Theodore Roosevelt in 1902. He gave a rousing speech at Park Square in Pittsfield. En route to Lenox after that, he was struck in his carriage by an errant trolley car driven by Mr. Madden, resulting in the death of the first Secret Serviceman killed in action, William Craig. Roosevelt was mildly injured after being thrown several yards through the air, and then got nearly in a fistfight, as the story goes, with the trolley driver in the street. The driver was later sentenced to 6 months for manslaughter. William Taft wasn't too thrown by Roosevelt's mishap to visit Pittsfield in 1909. He made a quick pass through on a trance tour. In 1948, we saw a visit from President Harry S. Truman, who came through on another railroad whistle-stop tour, and he addressed a crowd that included then Senator John F. Kennedy. The same year, Dwight Eisenhower, who would later be elected president, received an honorary degree from Williams College.
It's amazing how much history is here. You just have to walk the streets and look at some of the architecture here and imagine that this has been here for 150, 200 years, and a lot has happened in that period of time.
In the days of television, internet, 24-hour news cycles, it's a lot less common for presidents to visit each and every individual town in the country. However, after about 60 years, I think Berkshire County might be due a presidential visit.